As the man tosses his sister's newly fallen baby tooth onto the roof, little does he know that by nightfall, once she falls asleep, a spectral hand will creep out to steal it away. Leaving school, the next day, the girl encounters a chilling series of supernatural events. Every door she passes swings open on its own. The corridor's iron gate is bolted shut. She peers through the gap in terror. At the end of the hallway stands a figure draped in black. A ghastly woman with a darkened face. Petrified, the girl turns to flee. Outside the school gate, her brother hears her desperate cries for help. He rushes to the classroom only to find his sister being strangled by the woman in black. The brother smashes through the glass, but the apparition vanishes instantly. As he rushes to check on her, a sinister grin creeps across her face. She is clearly possessed by an evil spirit. Exerting unnatural strength, the girl begins to overpower her brother. In the glass's reflection, the evil spirit's twisted form briefly appears. Just as he pushes her back, he is nearly blindsided by a strange man. After subduing the man, he looks back to see his sister wearing a ghastly grin. As a soul-eroding whisper escapes her lips, clouding his mind, the brother quickly strikes a lighter, using the searing pain of the flame to force himself to stay conscious.
I know what you're talking about. Don't call me your wife.
With everyone else unconscious, his sister is eventually taken, vanishing without a trace. Back home, Jacques seeks out the seasoned Sergeant Papin and recounts the horrific encounter. The sergeant believes that the ancient evil has returned, and it certainly hasn't come alone. To uncover the truth behind Yi's possession, the sergeant decides to use a spirit board to contact the dead. The soul of his late sister, Yan En, was called upon for help. He sternly laid out the 3 rules of the spirit board. First, focus only on Yan. Do not let your mind wander. Second, your fingers must never leave the glass. Third, you must never let the glass break. As the ritual begins, the family gathers with solemn faces. They believe that as long as Yi is in danger, Yan En's soul will return from wherever she is to help them. As the chants begin, the lights in the room start to flicker, and the atmosphere grows heavy with tension. Jacques asks if Yan En is present. The glass slowly slides toward yes. Desperately, the mother asks if Yi is safe, but the glass moves to no. Jacques demands to know where the evil spirit has taken Yi. The glass begins to spell out a location, Fonzanobiang. That moment, Tiddy begins to suspect the glass. Fearing the soul isn't Yan, and the sergeant warns him to stay focused. Suddenly, the room's atmosphere turns even more sinister. Photo frames fall as the glass moves violently, finally spelling die. The ritual spirals completely out of control. The evil spirit's power plunges Jacques into a terrifying vision. He is transported back to the shadow of the war, witnessing Japanese soldiers entering a dark, ominous cave. The cave is filled with corpses, the site of a brutal massacre. Deep inside, the soldiers find a mysterious cloaked figure, and then they are attacked by an unseen force driven to take their own lives. The cloaked man tells Jacques that to save his sister he must follow. As the man chants his spell, Jacques in reality descends into madness. His family struggles with all their might to restrain him. As Jacques slowly regains his senses, he vows to save his sister. Jacques and the sergeant decided to head for that mysterious place, Fonzanobiang. Worried for their safety, the father insisted that his other 2 sons, Jos and Yod, go along with them. Their strength in numbers. On the way, the sergeant warned Jacques that Fonzanobiang is a legendary gathering place for the undead crawling with danger. The government once sent troops in, but they either died or returned insane. It is said that during the construction of the Death Railway, escaped POWs hid in the nearby caves only to be recaptured and executed to the last man. Meanwhile, trapped alone in the cave, Yi woke up. She was horrified to find herself surrounded by human remains and fled in a panic. Jacques and his party drove deep into the jungle until the terrain became impassable. They had to continue on foot, wading through the river. While crossing, Yos felt something lurking beneath the surface, putting everyone on high alert. Suddenly, Yod, who was trailing behind, was violently dragged underwater. Before they could react, Yos was snatched as well, followed by the sergeant. As Jacques was pulled down, a water ghost gripped his throat, strangling him. The others were facing the same life-threatening struggle. Jacques quickly drew his mercurial dagger and plunged it into the water ghost's skull. With a blood-curdling shriek, the spirit instantly vanished. Jacques followed suit, rushing to save the others the same way. At that moment, the sergeant also brought out his special holy water. Though they managed to repel the water ghosts, even these minor spirits had left them battered and exhausted. After struggling through the brush, Jacques and his party finally found Yi. The siblings embraced tightly, but Jacques' grip began to feel unnervingly tight.
I need help!
He suddenly realized that the person holding her was not her brother at all. She picked it up and prepared to strike, but her attack was easily parried. But she had one last move, lunging to stab Yak in the neck with a sharp wooden shard. Yet he didn't show even the slightest hint of pain. As he fled in terror. Fake Yak slowly pulled the wood out of his own neck. Won until she reached a cave entrance. She turned to escape, but was dragged straight inside. By nightfall, Yak and his group finally arrived at an abandoned village that looked like a mass grave. There they encountered two locals. Yahin told them that Phonsanubiang is a forest of lost souls. No one who enters ever returns alive. He urged them to turn back, as their sister was likely already dead. Yak angrily insisted that his sister must still be alive, and that they had to save her. Moved by their resolve, Yahin recounted the horrific history of the village. 80 years ago, an evil spirit known as Tiyod attacked the village, slaughtering every young woman there. It was later sealed away by a high monk. However, during World War II, seeking revenge against the invading Japanese army, Shaman Mawai broke the seal, releasing Tiyod once more. The spirit spiraled out of control, massacring everyone, including the Japanese soldiers and the villagers, leaving only Mawai to survive in an endless nightmare. Yahin added that Tiyod's arrival is heralded by a death chant. While the living can use it to summon the dead, the chant of the undead traps the living in an eternal trance. Hearing this, Yak's resolve only hardened. He declared that no matter how dangerous the path, even if he had to go to hell, he would bring his sister home. Yahin and Kongmu finally agreed to lead them into that forest of death at daybreak. Once everyone was inside the house, Yak suddenly heard a voice calling his name from the bamboo forest. He went to investigate, catching a glimpse of what appeared to be Yi. He chased and eventually came upon a standing wooden plank with a figure behind it that resembled Yi. Tiyod. Yak fell straight into a coffin. He flicked on his lighter for some light. As the ghostly whispers surged once more suddenly, a sinister gust snuffed out the flame. Soon he began to lose his grip. He was on the verge of losing consciousness. The sergeant and the others soon arrived at the spot, finding Yak's equipment but no sign of the man himself.
No, please. Meanwhile, back at the house, his sister Yad also encountered something terrifying.